Go for it.
What was that? Is somebody sitting there?
Hear me out. Do you want it? Yeah. Please go for it. No, I feel
Yeah, let me.
Thank you.
About not being invited.
Know that we care.
Nicole, are you gonna get? I'm gonna bring that chair all the way out. And
What?
take my
I
chair.
asked who was sitting here.
You almost.
And?
I also had a chair out though, and somebody took mine.
just went.
I'm sorry.
Did you freak out on Monday?
What? Dude, I about had a heart attack. I'm not kidding. I saw it. He said,
When the shootout started,
Dude.
all of our cooks stopped cooking.
dude, what are they talking about? The World Cup.
The World Cup.
You want kind of bored like myself. Like, you don't want kind of bored outside there.
You're still invited.
First off, it was so good. I had to find out through another source, so I'm like,
I didn't even know you watch soccer like that.
you gotta stop assuming like.
Well, that's why. So once I found out you did, I invited you. You didn't come.
As soon as the shootout started, all the cooks were standing like this, watching like orders coming in. I was like, I get it, bro.
I need that pizza, though.
Why did you do that?
Davis,
Yeah.
Rodney, I think you guys have already done.
I've been through it.
I know you, yeah, you've been through it. Actually, what I need you to do is pop over there and, there should be some senior tests that you can start on. So I want you to start prepping on that, because you're over 1,000. And I know that I know you haven't been through 6, so those, I'm not worried about 6. Have you? Okay, so yeah, so I'm not, so then, yeah, so you should be, you're lapping the book now.
Good years.
Rodney, you've been through this too, right?
Like half of it.
Okay.
When I started it, no, it's coming.
Huh?
It's like part
All right, so,
Sorry, Kim, I really didn't mean to take
okay, so with this, I know that, a lot of you, you guys haven't had me in class before. So, before we get started, there's a few things that, are non-negotiables with me. Number one, non-negotiable is that, if you are not using your phone to take notes, then I would expect you not to be on the phone when I'm talking. The second non-negotiable is that every single person would expect you to take notes and to be engaged. These chapters, 19, 20, and 21, a lot of what I am giving you, no, 100% of what I'm giving you, you're not gonna find it in that textbook. So the time that I take to give you this is some of the most important real world stuff that you're gonna get as you advance through your barbering careers. The 19, 20, and 21, those chapters are test chapters for your state test, and that's why you will spend time on your own going through those chapters. So over from the rest of this week and into next week in your free time, then I expect you guys to complete that stuff on your own. What you will do with me, and this is going to kind of be chopped up a little bit because typically my portion of this runs about 2 to 3 weeks. So it's gonna be chopped up a little bit because I'm on vacation next week, and so it's gonna be chopped up a little bit, but we'll get through it. By the time you end your time with me, let me tell you what this is gonna look like. When you guys finish this with me, every one of you will have a business plan. You will have certain timelines, or certain deadlines rather, that things are due. Those are non-negotiable also. So if I tell you that your market analysis is due on Thursday, then by Thursday at 5 o'clock, then I expect it in my box, in my email, Klassic Transformations Gmail. I read every single one of them. I give you feedback on those to help you correct them, to help make sure that they are that you have everything you need from them for those sections. So you guys will do, just to give you guys an idea, you guys will do an industry analysis, a market analysis, a management team, an operations plan, a service development plan, as well as financial projections. So that's what you guys will do, all of that stuff, and I'm gonna teach you how to do all that stuff. So we're gonna dive into it. So first of all, in doing this, the business plan is, everybody's business plan is a living, breathing organism. What that means is that no one's business plan, and right now when you guys write business plans, you are writing business plans not as if you are working in the shop, but as you are owners of the shop, right? So this plan is unique to you, and you will discover going through this things that you thought that maybe that you thought were correct were completely incorrect. And that's the purpose of the business plan, to see if your idea is viable, right? Because it's the difference between having an idea and having a plan. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, and I've talked about this with you guys before, the different locations, right? The different types of locations for your business. Anybody remember what a primary location is? It's somewhere that has an anchor tenant, right? Somewhere that has an anchor tenant that drives the traffic to the strip mall, right? To the location. Secondary location. What is that? Correct.
And that works whether or not you're downtown Lee Summit or in strip mall you're right? Because downtown Lee Summit, your pools would be the restaurants around you, I guess, and then your secondary location would be all 17.
Because if there's no anchor tenant, no big box location that drives traffic, then it's a secondary location. The secondary location is a string of businesses who work in conjunction to drive traffic to the location. And then a destination location. What is that?
That's like your barbershop, slash Disneyland. It's a destination to pull out to come see.
Say it again.
It'd be like if you had some reason outside of just a barbershop for people to come see it, like.
I guess is that only there?
A destination location is, you are the only reason that they are coming to that location. There's nothing else, no other reason for them to come to that location but you, okay? Some pros and cons of primary locations. What is an advantage of being in a primary location? More traffic. What else? Come on, no wrong answers.
It'd be cheaper, right? I'm not sure.
Probably higher rent and
Yeah, probably
everything.
more expensive, actually.
Get a big old trash can in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Get a big old trash can in the back.
So what would you call that?
Free, like, not free, but like.
You guys, yeah, I mean, at least you guys share like the parking lot, like the salt and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stuff you don't gotta worry about.
So you're talking about, you got bigger trash cans. It said you sharing in the parking lot, like snow removal, amenities, stuff like that. So
Being part of a collective or a community, sharing that responsibility.
that's what all that's called. It's called CAM, CAM, which is an acronym for Common Area Maintenance. So one of the things about being in a primary location is you have there are more tenants to share the CAM.
I guess with more traffic too, you just get more acknowledgement and awareness, like people are aware that you're there.
Right, more faces. Yep. Disadvantages to a primary location.
More expensive? More expensive?
Absolutely, more expensive.
Your overhead, because of all the amenities, all.
So the same advantage is also a disadvantage. You're not at when it snows on Thursday, if you're in a primary location, you're not out there with the shovel trying to shovel the parking lot for your customers. But the disadvantage is you're not out there because you're paying for it with the other tenants through the common area maintenance. So what that means is this. The common area maintenance, say that it's the landlord budgets $20,000 a year for common area maintenance, for trash, for landscaping, for snow removal. It's $20,000 a year, and that $20,000 a year, this is what common area maintenance means. So that $20,000 a year is split between every tenant in the strip mall, right? So, and then it's divided by 12 and it's part of your rent. So let's say that it's a terrible winter. For example, I think it was 4 years ago, we had a really bad winter. And in that $20,000, the snow removal portion of the budget is $3,000, right? They had a really bad winter, and so they spent $8,000 on snow removal. Well, then at the beginning of the year, then every tenant here is going to get a bill. They're gonna take that $8,000, they're gonna divide it by the number of tenants, and every tenant will get a bill for the overage of the common area maintenance. That's a disadvantage. That make sense?
So that's what happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
You get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's how they cover empty storefronts? Or is somebody on the hook for an empty building?
No, it's not necessarily empty storefronts. It's so if you owned all this, you would set a budget. Okay, this is what it's going to cost for my landscaping. So understand this as a landlord, and we're going to kind of get into this. Just hold that thought, Sean. Hold that thought. Other disadvantages of primary locations.
I don't know if it's a disadvantage, but something that kind of comes to mind is like your regulated, your signage and your storefront, like the way it looks, maybe regulated a little bit more so you have less.
Yeah, it's absolutely regulated. If you guys notice and you go through the strip mall, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit down the road too, but every sign is out from it's multi-dimensional, so it's away, it has depth to it away from the building. It's not just like your signs that are flat that says, Classic Transformation. That's called channel signage, right? And so that channel signage is more expensive than block signage. So what a block signage means is that, so you go to a sign company, they print your name on like a panel, and they slide the panel into the block, right? And so,
Which one do you want me to do?
it should be the senior test.
Okay.
It's like 11 of them, so just start at like number 1. Yeah. And so then you slide, so they slide it in there, and then, you know, that, or in some secondary markets, which is an advantage, is they don't care what type of sign you get. You can have the multi-dimensional sign, you can have block signage, you could take a banner and put it up there. They don't care. Primary locations, you can see everybody's signage is the same.
I think that's what just happened to Jazz down there, because they had to change their sign. They had a big sign that looked different than everybody else's.
You talking about Jazzy B?
Jazzy B, and they just.
Oh no, that was temporary sign, but he absolutely.
Oh, okay.
He's I spoke with him twice last week. Going off the rabbit trail a little bit, but every one of these signs, there's not a sign hanging up on any of these buildings that are at a minimum about $6,000 to $7,000. Our sign outside was $14,000, right? And so
Do they?
no.
Yeah, no, that's what he's saying.
So destination location. What are the advantages?
You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Greater freedom.
You can do whatever you want.
Whoever go there should go for you.
Huh?
Yeah, whoever's going there is
Yeah.
going for you, yeah.
Is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
That's not a
That's the advantage.
unless you did something wrong and they're coming for you.
If your business plan matches the destination, really,
Say it again.
your destination, or if your business matches the destination, like
Did
business
you miss
plan,
out on walking?
then it's an advantage, like you want.
I don't know.
It could be. I mean, I think you can make an argument that people coming there only for you is an advantage and a disadvantage. When you're talking about a destination location, it's an advantage. Yes, they're coming to get their haircut. The disadvantage, they're only coming to get their haircut, right? So what I mean by that is, so the first ever shop that I worked at, it was a secondary location. We had no anchor tenant. There was a Dollar General, which I wouldn't call an anchor tenant. There was a small Dollar General, and there was a Little Caesars on each side of the barbershop. And when I wasn't cutting, I was in the parking lot. I was people going in the Dollar General, people going in Little Caesars. I cut the manager from Little Caesars. I cut his hair for free so I could put my flyer on the pizza boxes when people went to Little Caesars, right? So that's now at a destination location, that ain't happening.
You're gonna be spending a lot more on marketing, trying to get the name of your shop out there. People don't- Unless you
Right,
like our
so that's what I mean. So people who were going for Dollar General, they weren't coming for a haircut, but I still got to touch them, right? So that's the advantage. That's the disadvantage of a destination location. The advantage when I was in my first shop that I owned, right, converted ranch house. Like I knew that they were coming for me, but my clientele was strong enough where I didn't need Little Caesars and Dollar General. They were coming for me. So that's the advantage and disadvantage. That make sense? Okay. So in your business plan, and everybody, you guys will get a copy of this. I give everybody, you guys will get a sample business plan of what this place, of what I did for this place, to give you the verbiage and how to put it together. When you're doing this, I'm just a lot of what you're doing is not single paragraphs, it's not single sentences, it's well thought out. You have to remember when you are doing a business plan, you are going in, you're asking someone to borrow money for your idea, for your plan. So it has to be thorough, and and the people that are reading it, they're not in your industry. So it has to make sense. So that'd be the equivalent of you reading something about someone wanting to start an electrical engineering firm. I don't know anything about electrical engineering, but I should be able to read the plan and get an idea of what the business is going to do and get an idea of whether the business is going to be profitable.
It's like the Shark Tank or whatever that show.
Yep.
You don't.
It's a lot like Shark Tank. The executive summary. That's the first thing that you're going to, first thing you're going to do, the executive summary. The executive summary is basically giving a bio of you. The executive summary should detail your education. It should detail your experience. And any other pertinent information that you feel that whoever's reading your business plan, that they would need to know, that makes them more comfortable getting to know you. So what we're gonna dive in today, and that's really it with the executive summary. But what we're really gonna dive in today is called the industry analysis. This industry analysis is due Thursday, 12/22 by 7 p.m. And that's another thing that I neglected to tell you guys that are non-negotiables. If you are not here, it is your responsibility to get the information from someone that is here. When the lights are on and I'm teaching, the show never stops. So if I tell you that we're going over something on a certain day, then we're going over it. And I don't repeat it. I don't go back over it. If you're not here, it's your responsibility to get it from someone else. Okay? So the industry analysis. The industry analysis is you informing the uninformed party of what is your industry. What is your industry about? The idea that you're bringing to me, what industry is this? How does it work? So we're talking about the barber industry, barber and beauty industry. You should talk about how much is this industry worth? How many people does this industry employ? What are the growth projections for this industry? So, growth projections. This information you can get from a lot of different places, right? So, growth projections for the industry you can get from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Just to give you an idea.
What did you say it was called?
The Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So so just to give you an idea, I'm gonna read you a couple paragraphs of what an industry analysis sounds like, and then we'll go through and break it down. The proposed business idea that is being presented is a barber college and training center in Lee Summit. According to Statistica.com, the barber and beauty industry is a $62 billion industry that will employ 63,000 people by late 2016. The industry has grown year over year for the past 12 years, with skincare having the largest percentage of growth at 35% year over year. The industry has evolved over the past 10 years by becoming more restrictive in regard to people entering the industry. The license requirement have become stricter, which in turn has brought a more professional atmosphere to the industry, which has deflated the competition to the industry. Fast forward a little bit, the industry in Kansas City is vastly different because there is a severe lack of educational facilities within the city. The proposed business idea is rooted in the idea that the local industry is thriving, that while the local industry is thriving, there are educational opportunities within the industry, within the proposed radius of Lee Summit and South Kansas City is sparse at best. There are no barber schools that provide educational opportunities within a 20-mile radius. The median income of the proposed zip code is $64,000, which is $20,000 more than the state median income. So, let's go back through and break that down. So, in industry analysis, we started with the national perspective, right? So, whatever you guys are doing, right, and when you're looking at an idea, you start with the national perspective, right? Like, what does it look like from a national standpoint? It's a $63 or it's a $62 billion industry nationally. Nationally, it employs 63,000 people. But then, your proposed location, what does it look like from a local standpoint? So if I had to ask you right now off the top of your head, what area of town would you open a shop in?
I would say Shawnee.
Shawnee, okay. Kenny, what about you?
Like the Crossroads.
Crossroads, Shawnee, Crossroads, Caleb,
Like Lenexa.
Lenexa, Lord,
I feel you, Westport.
Westport. Okay, so watch this. So we got Shawnee, you said Crossroads, Lenexa, Westport. What's the median income in Shawnee? What's the median income in Crossroads? Lenexa, Westport. Out of everyone that they said, which one is who makes the most money? Which one has the high? And you guys, you're guessing which one has the highest median income?
Shawnee or Lenexa?
You said Shawnee or Lenexa?
I
Think,
said Westport.
I'm about to say you think it's higher than Westport?
I think Westport gets more.
You think so?
There's a lot of bars around.
I
You
mean,
think-
my son just lived in Westport. He wasn't
No, Westport has some bad areas.
I was gonna say.
But further west you go,
It's
hey, but what about the Crossroads? I mean,
Crossroads is thriving right now.
it's thriving, right? Because of regentrification. Everybody know what that means?
Putting money back in.
Regentrification.
There's a lot of people with homes.
A lot of people come in and make coffee shops for no reason.
Regentrification, right? So you're in the city. They move out of the city. The plummets value, and then the rich people come back in, redevelop it, and make money off of it.
Well, the first part is they bought all that stuff before they left and then purposely made it crap so that when they go to sell it, make everything better, they get some better profit.
Regentrification, right? So, a lot of times, in places that you think are good locations, median income wise, maybe they're not. So, but you gotta do the research. right? You have to know what the median income, because the median income directly affects what? What you charge for a haircut.
So if you're in an area where they're not making like average profits.
So question. What percentage of people's take-home pay is disposable income? What percentage?
20%.
Exactly, hit the nail on the head, 20%. 20%. 20% is disposable income.
20% of gross or net?
Net.
What do you have to freely spend versus all the bills?
So what that means is that if you bring home $2,000 a month, what's 10% of 2,000? 200. So that means that your disposable income will be $400 a month. $400. So get this. When we talk about disposable income, that's after you pay everything. That's what you have to live on for the month. After you pay everything, all my bills are paid. All right, $400. So if you're in a space and if you're in a space and the disposable income is 20%, and people are bringing in $2,000 a month, so they got $400 to spend, and you're charging $75 for a haircut.
And you want them every 2 weeks.
Right? So in this industry analysis, when you get to the local part, and once we get to our target audience, we'll dive into that deeper, but you have to look at the proposed location and understand what that median income looks like. You also have to talk about barriers to entry. What a barrier to entry is what are the natural hurdles that are in place to competition entering your industry. So, what is one major barrier to competition entering your industry in barbering? Ding, ding, ding. The license, right? The license. That's the number one entry, right? There's places, we talk about it all the time. They have all these unlicensed barbers that are just, that's a barrier to entry. That's what keeps our industry regulated, right? Because at 9:51 a.m. on Tuesday, if you aren't licensed and you know the state's out, you can't be in the shop or you're running out the back door. It's a barrier to entry, right? What's another barrier to entry?
Sanitations, like, don't you have to, like, when you get your license, you open up your own place, don't you have to, like, be checked out by, I guess, like, the health inspector?
Yeah, that's not necessarily a barrier to entry though. I mean, because, you know, it's your basic sanitation stuff. Like, I mean, that's not something that will keep somebody out.
Okay.
What about the startup cost?
So go deeper. Right now, today, December 20th, 2022, what is a barrier to entry?
If you're a new shop and people don't know about you?
Go bigger. Think national. Something big that's happening in our world right now.
Inflation?
Inflation. Inflation. It's a barrier to entry. Why is inflation a barrier to entry?
Because things cost more than.
Shit, everything's hot.
$14,000 signs, now $20K.
Right? So listen, when we opened up the school over there in 2017, it cost about $30,000 to do it, right? If we opened up that right now, it'd probably be about 70. Inflation, right? Because everything is higher. Materials higher, labor's higher, everything is higher. So that's a barrier to entry. That makes sense? Everybody following me? Another thing that you need to talk about in this is the competitive landscape. So you say you want to open up a shop in Shawnee. How many barbershops are there? He don't know. He don't know. Kidding. How many? He don't know. Right? How many? I don't know. So, what's the competitive landscape looks like? This old saying in baseball, hit it where they ain't. Right? So, what does the competitive landscape look like? And if the competitive landscape, if Sean wants to open up a shop in BFE and there's no, that's way out there. Way out there. Way out there. way out there. That's way out there, Jocelyn, way out there. Hey, so the competition is, the competitive landscape is slanted in his favor because there's no competition. Now, if Christian wants to go open up a shop on 107th and Blue Ridge, where there's a shop that bookends every corner, that competitive landscape is a little bit harder. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. It means you have to explain what makes yours different, which is something that you all should be thinking about right now. No, that's not it. That's not it.
What's your competitive advantage?
So, being here gives you an advantage when you get out there initially. But remember, everybody can do what you do. Don't ever get tricked into thinking that you cut so good that there's nobody on the face of the earth that cuts the way you do. Everybody can do what you do. Your competitive advantage is, what are you doing to get them in your doors, and what are you doing to keep them coming back? So, our competitive advantage here was technology. Ain't another school in the city that's going to give you access like we do to Vagaro, allow you to schedule and book your own appointments, teach you how to manage your own clientele. Go look. Let me know if you find one. You won't.
So you guys you're the only ones around that hook us up with that?
Only ones. Only ones.
You usually have to pay for it? Is that what it is? You usually have to pay for it?
Oh, we pay for every one of you to have it.
Okay.
So, why don't other schools do that? Because they're worried about keeping clients after you guys leave, and quite honestly, what you're getting right now today, no other school gives you that either, right? They don't tell you to go through 19, 20, and 21, read the stuff, do well on the test, but they're not going to give you this. But the technology, Vagaro, the digital books, Cengage. Go down to Elamar, see if that's happening. It's not. Competitive advantage. We give you the most with technology. Go to another school and see if they're telling you to go out on power hours, if they're doing all that stuff. In addition to being by far the cheapest school in the city. That's our competitive advantage. It works for us. Right? Or you go to Transform and pay $23,000. You can take out a student loan if you want to. But it's a loan. That the interest compounds every single day.
Just like paying that back while you're trying to build clientele.
And on a rabbit trail, just so you know, that's one of the reasons why for 5 years, while we didn't do accreditation, because I'm not in the business of allowing people to take out student loans and come out in further debt. The only reason that we went through accreditation was because we knew that there are people out there that could possibly get Pell Grants. And when our accreditation is done, I will still counsel people away from student loans. Because does it hurt a little more? Is it a little harder to pay it monthly and to work when you do it? Yes, it does. But leaving with a zero balance and not having those student loans hanging over your head, priceless. Priceless. That's why the tuition.
Still got student loan.
I got them from hair school.
Like, hey, like, listen.
I had student loans from hair school.
Where you student loans hair school? $50,000?
By now, but I paid $25,000 when I went to hair school. That was 11 years ago. So.
I was gonna say, I think that's about what my cousin paid with the home digital.
So, at your shop, what is your competitive advantage? Technology is an amazing competitive advantage. It's an amazing competitive advantage. But what is yours? Maybe it's your atmosphere, right?
Well, I'm on stripper poles in Kansas City.
Be surprised.
I mean,
Listen.
I seen
Listen.
shops on a couple Instagrams, so I'm like,
Oh yeah,
this is what they do over there.
So,
I'm like,
so,
okay.
so you have to, growth projections. How much barriers to reentry, competitive advantage, and then the last thing is your conclusion. And your conclusion is where you just take all these and you summarize it up. So everything I just told you in conclusion, this is why it's a really good idea to give me some money.
So I have a question. Since you said 2017, you have to use 30K to open it, how many years did it take to get the money back, or how many months?
What, say it again?
How long is your ROI?
To give the return on my investment? 2 years. That's amazing. And understand this, like when I say it's amazing, like I didn't know that it was gonna be that short of time, right? But what I did know was because of this, that we were in a really good spot and we had a really good idea and we had a really good plan. And did I know that it was going to take off and explode? No. But by doing this business plan, it should give you a little bit of competitive advantage because 99% of the shop owners, I'm talking about in the metro in Kansas City, I can't speak nationally, I'm just talking about Kansas City. 99% of them have no idea what they're doing. No idea what they're doing. They're stuffing money in their pockets.
I guess something.
Huh?
So that's something.
No, you don't have a business. If you're stuffing money in your pockets, you don't have a business because understand this. Well, because understand this, is that it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you deposit. So if Cam makes $1,000 a week and he tricks off 600 of it, then Cam really makes 400 a week,
Not me.
right? So I'm gonna leave this up. I'm gonna work in this area right here. Thursday, 7 o'clock. Denise, can you do me a favor and make some copies of that, please?
Enough for everybody?
Yep.
Can I make it double-sided?
Yep, 67. Maybe just like 20 copies.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me everything you guys know about credit. Go. Everything you know.
It's bad if you don't pay.
That's, you got a balance.
More than one line of credit at a good to medium score is better than having one excellent line of credit. So more lines of credit you have.
No credit's worse than bad credit. It really wasn't a thing till what, like this,
That's what
late
they did
70s,
that.
early 80s, I think.
Credit cards?
I just had like credit scores.
Oh, I was gonna say credit cards happened there in the late 20s.
Okay.
You get insurance on your money off credit.
Explain.
If you run into credit, you get fraud, the credit card company has to pay for that, not risking your money.
Okay. So. Let's start off with credit scores. Or
Or get loans if you have a tax credit. You can, but with the higher insurance.
So credit score. What's the lowest credit score you can get?
500, 380 or something.
Oh, really?
280.
Get 350 for being alive.
For
Right.
being a what?
For being alive.
Alive.
Yeah, you get 350 for being alive.
That lock next sponsor gave that one out, that's what that was.
You get 350 for breathing, right?
Write your name on the paper.
What's the highest?
850.
850. If you walked into Community America Bank today and you asked them for a loan, what will your credit score need to be?
650.
Whoa.
Maybe 600.
Say it's like 650.
680. 680. So, but
They could eat you as fat as
so understand this. 350 for being alive. 850 is perfect. Typically, with most banks, they want you to be around at a minimum of 620. That's where they want you to be, about 620. You start getting prime rates around 680. And what I find is crazy is the majority of Americans live in a credit range from, which is crazy to me, of 650 to 720.
That's not pretty great.
No, that's pretty decent, right?
You said the average American lives with a 650 to 720? Average? How is that average calculated?
So the average, let me rephrase it. The average credit score among Americans, 650 to 720. So, so
So how come, I have a question, you know like how you get a loan for a car, but once you paid it off, you think your score is gonna go high, but it goes down?
I'm not exactly.
Maybe little points.
Well, not exactly. I'll explain it to you. So, with credit, right? 3 bureaus, which are what? Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Okay, so watch this. This is super important for you guys. Of these 3 bureaus, which one is used the most by businesses that report credit? Hmm? It is Experian. Experian is number 1. I'm sorry, Equifax, Equifax is number 1, my bad. Equifax is number 1. What's least used? Any guesses? TransUnion. So what that means is that typically your lowest score will be through Equifax, your highest score will be through TransUnion. So when you walk into a bank and you are looking for a loan, you should ask, what bureau do you use? Because if they use TransUnion, then typically your score will be a little bit higher. If they use Experian, right in the middle, Equifax is going to tend to be a little lower.
But once they run it, doesn't that bring your credit score down?
I'm about to get to that. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Nope, I'm about to talk about that. So, credit is based on 3 C's. The 3 C's of credit. Look it up. 3 C's of credit. Look it up. Yeah. Look it up and then give me one.
Capital. Yeah, capital. Capacity. Character. Like anybody's talking about their loans.
Capacity. Over the years, people expanded. It's been
Capital.
Okay, so check it out. Capacity to pay back, character, and capital. So everybody have this industry analysis stuff? Everybody got it?
Yeah.
We good? I'm erasing it. All right. Okay, so watch this. Capacity to pay back. Capacity to pay back goes into DTI. Anybody know what DTI stands for? Debt to income ratio. Your capacity to pay back is based on your debt to income ratio. Acceptable debt to income ratio is, they really don't want you over 35 to 40%, really lower on the 35 end. So what that means is this.
Like credit use, or what do you mean?
I'm about to explain to you. So what that means is this, is that it is based on your gross income. So let's say that your gross income is, guys, pull out your calculators. Let's say that your gross income is $2,500 per month. That's your gross income, $2,500 per month. Now, take that and multiply it by 40%. $1,000, right? So that means that your gross is $2,500 a month. They don't want your debt to be over $1,000 per month. If you start getting, when you start getting into 50% DTI, what that means to the bank is that you have too many bills, too much outgoing, not enough incoming. So if I give you this loan, how you gonna pay me back? That make sense?
How do they know what's the income?
Because you put it on the application, and then they ask you to verify it, right? So
Because sometimes you get cash, you know? So
cash equal no loan,
No loan?
no loan, no loan.
There's no money trail, they have to see a money trail, pretty much.
So
Because you have $100,000 debt, and you're gonna have $100,000 next year.
that's why we'll talk about this later on in class, but eventually every single one of you guys are gonna have a decision to make. Within the next 2 years, every single one of you are gonna have a decision to make. Those of you who are in booth rent environments, within 2 years, you're gonna have a decision to make. You're gonna have to make a decision on how do you report your income. Because if you report every single dollar, you're gonna be taxed on every single dollar. If you do not report every single dollar, then it affects your debt to income ratio. We'll talk about that more later on. Okay, so your capacity to pay back is based on your debt to income ratio. So let's say that you bring in $7,000 a month and your debt to income ratio is, let's do this. Let's say that you bring in $7,000 a month and you have $2,000 going out. What is that debt to income ratio? Get on your calculators, figure it out.
What was the question?
7,000 coming in, 2,000 going out.
Thank you. So, I could say, what do you usually go to? You know what I mean? Like if you're using 2,000 for bills, why do you need, how much space you got?
We got it? We got it? No, 7,000 going out or coming in, 2,000 going out. What is that percentage? What is that DTI percentage? 28.5%. The way that you do it is you take 2,000 divided by 7,000, and you should get 28.5%. That's how your debt to income ratio is calculated. Okay, we'll do one more. 5,000 coming in, 3,000 going out. What's the debt to income ratio?
60%.
Everybody got it? Everybody understand how to do that? Okay? So, that is your capacity to pay back. Your character is, how do you pay back? Your payment history is the equivalent of 1/3 of your credit score. That has the most weight. It's about 40% of your credit score. That has the most weight. What is your character? How do you pay back?
My character's what?
It's about 35-40% of your total score.
It's definitely
How-
my side.
Yep, characters. How do you make your payments? Do you make your payments on time?
Mr. 820.
Hmm?
I said Mr. 820 credit score.
And then finally, capital. How much money do you have? right? How much money do you have? Hmm? How much money do you have? Those are the 3 C's, because your capital affects your capacity to repay, which affects your character. Those are the 3 C's of credit. Does every single person in this room know their credit scores? Let me see. Raise your hand if you know your credit scores. All 3 of them.
All 3?
Got 2.
So I know the 2 that my credit card is, which is my Equifax experience.
So, so everyone should know that, actually they changed, it used to be once a year, but now it's semi-annual, that you can go to annualcreditreport.com. And you'll get all 3 scores.
Would it affect your credit if you check it?
Nope.
Some people say it's not good to take more.
I'm about to explain that to you. So, also,
They don't teach you about this stuff in school.
they do not. They do not. So when you guys, and also, Experian also has an amazing app that I would recommend all of you get. They gives you a credit score for free, gives you all your credit alerts, all your stuff like that. You go I would get the Experian app. It's good stuff. So understand this. When you guys are looking at like Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, all those aren't necessarily accurate scores. So you see people all the time and they're like, well, I went on Credit Sesame, and Credit Sesame said that I had 650, but when I went into the bank, it was a 630. Because each agency has different formulas of the way that they compile credit, and they're not giving Credit Sesame or Credit Karma access to that. So Credit Sesame and those things, they're educated. Yes, I'm not saying that they're like completely off in left field, but they're not going to be as accurate as coming directly from the bureaus, right? So if you want to use Credit Karma or Credit Sesame to like, or some of you talked about like having your credit cards where you can to monitor like activity and stuff like that, get a snapshot, big picture of what your score kind of looks like. That's great. But don't take it to be an accurate representation down to the number of what your score is. So a lot of you talked about well, if I credit inquiries and stuff like that. So understand this with credit inquiries. You are allowed to shop. If you go somewhere, say you're buying a car, and you go somewhere and they pull your credit, that's not instantaneously going to drop your credit because you are allowed to shop. What happens is when you have multiple credit pulls in a short period of time, it sends red flags up to the credit bureaus and to the lenders that you are getting turned down. And so as a defense mechanism, they drop your score to protect themselves. That's how inquiries drop your credit. So when you go to a car dealership, it is important that you tell the finance manager, and you say it specifically like this: I do not give you authorization to run my credit multiple places. Do not shotgun my credit around town.
That's what they did with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me it's not gonna affect your credit.
Oh no, they run it through like 8 or 10 places, it'll affect your credit because it's a defense mechanism, right? So you go and I believe it is 5 pulls in a 30-day window. So if you're going shopping for a car, right? And you go to a couple different dealerships, they pull you get 5 pulls in a 30-day window, not gonna affect your credit, right? You get 10 pulls in a 2-day window, like, whoa, what is going on here? It's gonna affect your credit. That's how it works. So now, so what I'm going to explain to you guys right now. First of all, there's different kinds of credit pulls. So when you go and you get a credit pull for a car, it's called an auto empirica pull. So the auto manufacturers, they have created like their own credit standards. It's 100% different. A house is called a tri-merge. Anybody know what a tri-merge is? So a tri-merge credit pull is, so like when you go to, if you went up to Chevy, right? You go to Chevy. Chevy's gonna pull Auto Empirica, they're gonna use Experian, right? If you go and you buy a house, they're pulling all 3, and it's called a tri-merge pull, and they're gonna throw out the high, they're gonna throw out the low, and they're gonna take your mid score.
So they take Experian too? Or do they average it?
No, they're gonna take all 3, right?
Do they average it or take Experian?
No, they're gonna take the middle. It might not be Experian, right? They're gonna take the middle, whatever the middle. So it could be 711, 620, and 650. They're taking 650 and they're basing their rates off 650. That's how it works. Okay. So, does anybody know why, when you go to a car dealership, that they pull your credit so much? Everybody got all this? You guys got this? Anybody know why?
Supposedly they say to figure out which one gives you better.
Ha ha ha! YSP. All right, you guys hang with me for about 10 more minutes. We're almost done. YSP. Anybody know what YSP stands for?
Why are you doing it?
YSP stands for yield spread premium. Yield spread premium. Okay, this is how it works. So Nicole, she's going to buy a new car. $30,000 is what she's looking at spending on this new car. So Cole's a salesman. Cole's like, man, hey Nicole, man, I got this new Kia, it's $30,000. It's got all the bells and whistles. Nicole's like, great. All right, I'm gonna send you over to the finance manager. Sends over to the finance manager. Cam's the finance manager. Cam kind of has finance manager vibes too. He does. He got kind of finance manager vibes. You know, like, yeah, you know, come on in. Like, you know, he's like standing above standing on the roof of a car dealership. Like that's Cam, right? So this is so Cam runs Nicole's credit. Nicole's credit is 580. 580.
I tell you to turn
Right.
around.
So Pyong is a bank, Shine is a bank, Lori's a bank. So now watch this. Now Cam already pulled Nicole's credit for the dealership because he's at the dealership. Nicole didn't tell him, don't shotgun my credit around. But this is why he's going to shotgun the credit around, because of the yield spread premium.
Anthony's gonna get money for that, is he?
So watch this. So Pyong says, listen, I can do the deal for 5%, and I'm gonna give you 2 points on the back end. Sean says, man, I do it for 6%, I'm gonna give you 4 points on the back end. But Lori says, listen, man, she got 580 score. I'm gonna do it for 7%, but I'm gonna give you 6 points on the back end.
What are the points go for?
Watch this.
I was gonna ask.
A point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. So then that money directly goes to the dealership, because it's the yield spread premium is what is the price the lender pays for the dealership sending them the loan.
Like a $12,000 car ends up being $17,000.
So Cam, being the guy that he is, says, hey, Nicole, got you done. Now your score's a little low, it's 580, so we can get you done at 7%, but you can refinance it in 6 months. If you pay on time, 6 on-time payments, we can get you refinanced because your score should go up. How many people heard that before? Right?
That's what you.
So watch this. So you guys do the math. What's 2% of 30,000? Do the math. 2%, 4%, and 6% of 30,000. Do the math. What's 2%? 600?
Yeah.
What's 4%?
12.
And 6. 1,800? I'm gonna trust you. I didn't pull my phone out. I didn't pull my calculator out. 1,800. So, because of the yield spread premium. Because dealership just made 1,800 off that. So Nicole's like, man, that's a little high. Man, I don't know if the payment's a little high. I don't know if I can swing it. Well, let me go back in and make another call to a bank and see what I can do. Good news, got you down to 6. But he just ran the credit through all of those.
You'd already done it.
Yeah, he'd already done it. He'd already done it, right? Now, so watch this though. So this is why it's important. So Yaselina talked about the importance of scores, because the worse your score, the more you pay to get the loan. Because if she had, remember, Community America, the 680, then she go to Community America and get the 2.5%. The 2.5% loan, and the 2.5% loan drops her payment, and she's only paying 2.5% interest as compared to paying 7% interest. That's how it's done. Guess what? That's how it's done on houses too. So take this same scenario. Now do the yield spread premium on that, on a $300,000 house. Look, I want them to do the math. Do the math on it.
6,000, 12.
Do the math.
1,000 and 18,000.
2%, 300,000.
6,000, right?
6,000.
You just add a 0 on.
4.
12.
18.
That's the game.
Who made that 18,000? The mortgage, the lender?
That's the point, yeah. We go back to them.
That's what the mortgage broker.
Do they make it instantly, or is it through the?
So that's the only part that they make on the transaction, whatever the points are on the back end.
No. So you can. So here's the deal. It used to be that you could max out at 9 points or 9% of the loan, but that you could only charge 3% or 3 points on the front, and you can make whatever you wanted on the back. So in 2008, during the or in the early 2000s, 2008 was like the mortgage meltdown.
Jesus.
But,
2000 was that.
but in the early 2000s, it was a wild, wild west, man. So in this, like, I mean, I was in this industry, man. It was in the early 2000s, man. You get 10, 11 points on the backside, charge 3 on the front. One deal, $18,000. So that means that, and then typically they're on 50-50 split. So Cole gets 50%, Cam gets 50%, Nicole gets screwed.
But when your sewer lock goes out, I'm out.
And then, so just so you know, but then what happens is, then they put Nicole in this. Nicole can't afford it.
They repo it.
They repo it and sell it again.
That's why those barber laws are insane, man. They got 12
They're
hours.
banking on you to do that.
Well, what's your question?
They give
They
you
want you
like,
to
so
do that.
before you finance a car, can you go to the bank first and then check like which score is better before you go to the dealer?
So you can, what I would advise anybody to do, right, is one of two things. Go to your bank, get a loan through the bank, or there's a good things like you can go through, like if you see where, you know, GM has 0% for 60 months or whatever, but you have to be specific with them. I am here for the 0% financing through GM. That is the only place that I'm authorizing you to pull my credit through. Don't pull it through anywhere else. Like, you have to tell them that.
Yeah, so you get that perfect credit for that 48 months duration. It's like
No, you
plus.
Better bring that cosigner with you.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
so
bring
here's the
grandpa
thing,
dog.
like, it could be beneficial to do that,
Oh, they'll
so
use their
someone that I know who's an accountant, would buy like a $60,000 vehicle, she could pay cash, but if she got that 0%, she can make more money by investing and paying the loan. Because it's a 0% interest on the loan, let's say the 30,000 that she's able to either keep in the bank or investments is gonna bring in more money than to just pay off. the
Well,
car.
yeah, she's in that position though.
Well, so, huh? So here's the thing, is you guys have to understand, when I said it was a credit score / debt score, right? So what that means is that, the credit bureaus want you to have what they call a credit mix. So what a credit mix is they want you to have revolving lines of credit. Anybody know what a revolving line of credit is?
Like a credit card.
A revolving line of credit is a credit card. It means that it's different from an installment loan. An installment loan is a mortgage loan, it's a car loan. Here's the price of it, here's your monthly payment, it's never changing until you pay it off. That's an installment loan. A revolving loan changes based on how much you owe, right? So if you have a credit card, you know, and you owe $8,000 on it, maybe it's $200 a month. Well, you pay it down to $1,000, it might be $30 a month. It's a revolving line of credit, meaning that the credit limit can change, or the monthly payment can change.
But like from a finance perspective, like once you become a barber, don't you get like a couple of loopholes you can do with like your taxes and like becoming like your own boss and like, you know,
That's what I talked about earlier. Like we'll talk about it and go more in depth, but that's what I was talking about. So listen, here's the rub. So say you make $80,000 a year. You're on booth rent. You're making $80,000 a year. You're paying your $200 a week booth rent. You can take every deduction possible due to you, and you're in your legal right to do that. So he makes $80,000 a year. He takes every single deduction that's due to him, and his net income on his taxes is $6,000. He doesn't owe a dime. As a matter of fact, they're paying you back. That's amazing. But then he wants to buy a car. And this is where self-employment, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Lori walks in with her W-4 or her taxes, they're looking at her gross income. They don't care about her net. So Lori made $50,000 a year. $50,000, that was her gross. If you were self-employed, they're looking at your net income. He made 80, his net was 6. You made $6,000 a year, you don't qualify for anything, but sorry.
what if you use an LLC?
Same
Same thing.
business owner, bro.
So, but,
Business owner.
so this is how it
Well,
works.
helps you in some sort of taxes.
So this is how it works. Again, being self-employed, this is why credit unions and small banks will forever be your best friends. Because at bigger banks, so just FYI, like with us,
Stay away from Bank of
We
America,
use-
that's what you're gonna say.
I hate Bank of America.
I hate
With-
Jersey.
so with us, we use Community America, we use Equity Bank, right? I may look at using Central Bank in the future,
I
but
wouldn't like
but Community America, credit union, you're not just a number, you're an actual person, right? So Community America gave us an opportunity when Bank of America would not, right? Because you're just a number there. So if you walk into a locally owned bank, they're going to look at your profit and loss statements. They're gonna look at your balance sheet. They're gonna look at those other things and not just look at like your net income, right? If you go to XYZ Bank, Bank of America, big corporate bank, they're just looking at it denied, right?
US Bank charges you $6 a month just to have an account with them.
Yeah, I don't, so when we first opened up, we had a system called Point, and we use US Bank. And US Bank, just the fees that they were charging us just for using the system, it was outrageous, right? Yeah. And so again, that's kind of my spiel on credit. Hopefully, this gives you guys a little bit better understanding of credit and how it works. One more thing that I forgot to tell you. If you have something on your credit, specifically like a collection, something like that, right? Don't ever call a collector and pay the amount off that you owe. Never do that.
You're supposed to haggle with them, right?
So here's the deal. This is how it works. Whatever you owe, you should probably pay about 10% of it. But there's one specific question that you have to ask them. And they will not give you this information, but you have to ask them this.
An itemized receipt
Nope,
for the stuff.
nope,
Would it be removed?
no, you have to ask them like this. You have to say, do you delete? A paid off collection does not help your credit score. A deleted collection helps your credit score. So, say you owe $1,000. Like, listen, man. The older the debt, the less you pay. So if it's a debt that's 5 years old, I'm paying 5 to 10%, nothing more. You haven't got any money in 5 years. No, that's the logic, right? You think about it.
And it's
Like,
bought and sold by
man,
6 different
man,
companies.
like, listen, man.
Yeah, give me that original.
Like, listen. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I ain't always have great credit, right? So, at one point in time, like my credit score was like down in the 5s, right? It was 5s, bad. And so, I'm like, listen, 7 years it falls off. Man, I'm calling you guys, man, it's been 5.5 years. You ain't got no money from me in 5.5 years. Man, it's $1,000, man. I'll give you $50. They're like, hell no, man, $50. Say, tell you I'll give you 100 to delete it. Ain't got no money in almost 6 years.
You're not gonna get it in another 6.
You're not, hey, it's gonna fall off. In another year, it's gonna fall off. It's not affecting my credit score, it's already trash.
Well, if
Right.
it's a medical bill, you can ask for an itemized receipt. 'Cause
But check this,
chances are
but
they-
you know what, Lori? They passed a law. They can't, medical bills,
Can't be
it can't,
applied to your
They
credit.
don't use that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
can't do it.
Oh,
Yep.
So you can go to
Any?
Missing an arm, sew back on, thank you. Then
No,
you go to
it
Mexico.
cannot-
just
me-
rest-
yep, medical
Right.
bills,
Right.
medical bills cannot be,
I didn't know that.
cannot be added to your credit score.
But isn't there a way that they can,
So you don't pay?
No, the insurance, I had good insurance.
so it's 100% medical, everything,
Oh, he's
100%
leaving.
included
Just a
from, is that Mr. Scott?
Yes, medical,
Nah.
that's what you're doing.
He's coming back in.
So,
Let me see.
I
Is that
think
him?
that in.
When was that?
I think when
Or
all
just-
Oh, no, that's not my
Or just, can you just tell him that we'll be with him in just 1 second?
Who, me?
Yeah, just tell him we'll be with him in 1 second.
Okay.
So check it out. So,
I wouldn't say that.
so anything that is on your credit, now understand, if it's something that's on your credit that's like a year old, then they're gonna play hardball with you because they like, "Shit, well, you got 6 years to go, right?
It's smart,
Right? But you must ask them, do you delete? And once they say yes, then it comes off. Then your credit score once it comes off your credit, then 30 days later you're gonna see the bump in your score. Right?
When they say no.
They're not. They're not. I've never heard of somebody saying no. They will. Hey, they will love to take your money because you're getting it anyway, right? But again, if it's a year or two, then you're probably not gonna be able to get it for 10%. It's gonna be a higher percentage, but you can delete it.
And this is the conversation you're having with them over the phone when they're calling you up.
100%.
Hey, this is the, collector.
100%.
And when it's like.
Hey, and listen, dude, and you have some people tell you, man, if just go back to the original creditor and don't pay no, because the collection agency is the one that's reporting it to your bureau. So you deal with the collection agency, you get them to delete it by paying pennies on the dollar for it. That's hey, don't pay somebody else unless you just don't have the time to do it, right? Then don't pay somebody else, because all it is phone calls.
And that entire
It's
thing
truly
is
phone
actually
calls.
part of the reason we're in this recession too, because all the automotive loans that have been bought and sold in the last, since the recession of 2008, it's caused a massive bubble where nobody's paying for car loans, and it's just huge.
From what you heard.
How do you know that those
People
issues
calling
like
senior collectors about the claims, how do you know they're true? How do you know they're not scammers? They just found that information.
So what you should always do is give me your email address, have them send you a copy of the bill.
Or then if they can't, they don't have
If
that.
they don't have a copy, they can't send you a copy of the bill.
Then you called up, like, oh, man, he did that.
Yeah, so whenever
They did.
a collection agency calls you, you should always say to them, hey, can you send me a copy of the original bill? And then they send you a copy of the original bill. That way you know the balance. That way you know that they're legit. And then and then they'll email it to you. And then you tell them to call you back in a week. And then it's $5,000. You offer them $100 and go from there.
With that as well too, don't they have to provide you like the original signature, not a digital signature, but an actual?
Not necessarily. Not, but the
Quit dating lawyers.
all right, so man, hopefully this information was helpful to you guys. Does anybody have any questions on the industry analysis? So remember, do what?
You want ours to be about as long as
I can't tell you how long it is, but I don't want something superficial. I don't want surface stuff. I want you guys to go deep into it and do some research. You guys work together on it. It doesn't, however you work best. You guys work together on it, but do some research and send it to me. Make sure that when you send it to me, that you put in the title that you put your name and industry analysis, so I know what's what when I'm responding.
So what did you say we are talking about?
Why it's a good idea to get another example on that, when you said, oh, he grossed 80, but he netted 60 for the deductions, because deductions would be like all his hair supply, all the things.
Man, there's so many, there's depreciation. So this is like, depreciation is a huge one. So like, that's when so you remember like people like,